Hi guys, thanks for joining me. I am here catching up in my December journal for 2019. So this is going to be days 24, so Christmas Eve right through to today, which is the 30th. I've been away this weekend and I have not done any journaling. I didn't take all my supplies with me, obviously, so I am catching up now and just getting myself prepared. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve, so I'm now in a place where I've just got to print some photos from tomorrow night and do my bit of journaling about the night, and that will be me done for December daily this year. How exciting. My sister's just left, and we were literally just saying how crazy it is that we're nearly done for this year and what we're going to do next. What's the next project? So anyway, I hope, that's my daughter trying to have her 2 seconds of fame again. Yeah, so I hope you all had a great Christmas and you all managed to eat, drink and be merry and just have a good time, and you've got lots of nice things. So this is going to be quite a long video because obviously I'm catching up on a few days. So a lot of this video I have cut out quite a bit because I was conscious that it is quite a long one. Normally I'd leave in quite a bit of my process, juggling things around, but I've tried to cut some of that out of this video, so apologies if that's what you like to see normally. I have tried to leave in the bits that are actually relevant. I've cut out mainly the bits that I didn't go with instead of the bits that I did. This I had to layer up to write on this little flappy piece, so you can see. Obviously I need a chocolate. They've got to be eaten by tomorrow because it's diets. Diet starts on the 1st, right? So I had to layer that up so I could actually write on that little flappy bit because my journal is absolutely huge and I can't lay it down anymore to be able to write on my little pull-outs and things. So I'm just doing my journaling right across these 2 pages. I've chosen to kind of skip every other line just because I don't really have that much to write for Christmas Eve. I do, but not really stuff that I wanted to add into here. About cooking Yorkshire puddings and whatnot. It's real boring stuff. So for me, my journal is more about putting in photos and decorating it and just making it a bit of fun. So I printed this image off just because I liked it because it was Christmas Eve, and I've actually added some text to this photo and the one on the left there, the Christmas Eve sack. I did that on the computer before I printed the images off. So that one at the top there, the big dog, is the piles of presents that Santa's left for the children. I do that every year and I send it to my sister and she sends me the one of my nephews, and it always makes me feel really I don't know, it's like a sense of achievement when I see the sofa covered in all the presents. Santa doesn't leave them on the tree, leave them under the tree. On the tree, that'd be random. Leave them under the tree, we fill the sofas up, so they leave their sacks out Christmas Eve before they go to bed, and then Santa fills their sacks up. This little plastic pocket is something that my son did at school. He made some reindeer food and that little card was clipped onto it, which is where the pocket's now ripped because I had to pull it off to open it up, and there's just a photo of him in there sprinkling it outside. So I'm just going to add a little bit of tape here to stop that ripping any further, and I'm going to use this oval tab just to write on there what that is. So I'm thinking of projects for 2020 at the minute. I've got a few written down. I don't have a junk journal for the new year. I think I've said in a previous video that I don't actually junk journal throughout the year. It's something that I keep strictly for Christmas. Well, not strictly, it's something that I've so far just done for Christmas. But I am going to be making some junk journals, and I've had a few of you saying that you hope that I will continue to junk journal throughout the year, which I will do. But junk journaling, I think, will be like scrapbooking. It will be something that I do as and when something happens. So I'm not going to obviously be able to upload junk journal videos weekly because, if it's just been a week at work, then nothing really substantial is going to have happened. So I will probably make a point of, I mean, I would junk journal as much as I can. So if we go on a holiday, that'll be a week's worth of journaling to do, you know. But generally day to day, it's not really, you know, I'd struggle to do it every day because I wouldn't know. Like Christmas, I think I like doing the Christmas journals because it's a theme. So even if I'm struggling to do something that day, because it's a theme, I would just do something Christmassy. Do you see what I mean? Like, whereas in general everyday life, I would struggle if I hadn't done anything that day. So what I'm basically getting at is I need to know what you guys would like to see. Other than junk journaling, is there anything else you particularly like, you want me to share? I am a general crafter, I do a lot of crafts. So if there's anything you particularly want to chat about or to do together maybe, then please let me know in the comments. As I say, junk journaling will become a part of my year, my general like day-to-day sort of scrapbooking style journaling, just so I can keep sharing. I do have a few in mind, a few themes. I'm going to try that and see if that works for me. So I have a few themes in mind which I'm going to make, and we're going to make together. So I'm hoping they will help me journal on those days where it's been a pretty average day, but I just want to put something into my book. And I think it'll be nice to look at the end of next year as kind of like, you've probably seen people do these jars where you get just any old jar and you just have little snippets of paper and you write down, you know, a good thing or a positive thing that's happened in that moment or that time. Maybe you've been somewhere for the day, or you've had a holiday, or you want £1 on a scratch card. You know, you write it down, this little snippet of paper, put it in the jar, and at the end of the year you take all these little bits of paper out and you read them all. And I think for me, my junk journal for the year will be something along those lines. So when something, you know, interesting happens, exciting, or something I'm just grateful for, I will then add that to my junk journal. So obviously I want to keep videos coming to you, so I need to know, I need to work out what else I can share with you, and yeah, we can grow this and it can become something a bit more than just junk journaling. You know, generally people who craft have an interest in most crafts or a few crafts, or they like to try different things. So that's the sort of thing that I want to do with this channel, and we can all learn off each other and get ideas from each other. When I've watched, I've talked about it again, I've talked about it before in videos, watching Kirsty's Handmade Christmas has really opened my eyes to a few different crafts that are out there that I'd not even thought of, you know, but I've got them on my list of things to try now. So yeah, let's all be inspired. So I've not really spoken much about what I'm actually doing in this video, and a lot of it's self-explanatory, isn't it? I've clipped a few bits in, I'm adding labels here and there, I'm embellishing as I'm going along, I'm adding the writing as I'm going along as well, because I'm doing quite a few pages at a time. I'll forget to go back to things. That little flap at the top there is the what came out the Christmas cracker. On the left hand side there, I did have some footage of this, but it's gotten lost in amongst some other footage of the other pages. It's actually the napkin from our Christmas dinner, a photo of us all at Christmas dinner, and the gold bit at the bottom is the hat that came out the cracker. So I just added those there, but I added those there before I went away. When I was doing my previous videos, I was kind of going through all the pages and then thinking, no, I'm going to stop here, I'm going to do Christmas Eve, Christmas Day properly when I get back. So apologies if that footage isn't in here. So as I say, I'm embellishing and what have you as I'm going along. This page was a bit tricky for me. I kept laying the pictures out, going back to it, laying them out, going back to it, and obviously we'll see as the video goes along how it actually turns out. So I did struggle with that one a little bit in terms of placements. I had a few photos on there, and I've said before as well, I don't like check the size of my photos. I just kind of play it by ear on the computer, have a little mess around with it and think, yeah, that'll do, that looks about right, and I just make it work. Obviously you can measure your photos and you can make sure they fit into a space that you want to use them in. I don't quite work that way. I should be more organised like that. Some things I've had to, but generally speaking I just print them off and I use them. So I've gone through my snippets box here, pulled out this doily just to give this image a bit of background and give me a bit of journaling space, just so it kind of, you know, borders that image and brings that together with the journaling as opposed to just writing on the paper. I do like to add a lot in. I've had a comment recently, someone, I think it was Amy, who said that she likes that I add lots of pockets and photos and lots of bits and pieces, and that is what I love, especially with this theme. I love just the more the merrier, literally. It just, nothing's too much glitter, too many photos, too many pieces. The fact that I can barely close the book anymore just makes me happy, because it's just full of fun. This little house card is packaging from a candle my mum bought me from Next. It's a Christmas fragrance. It's a bit like spiced apple or something. And I just liked the little house, so I thought I'd stick that in here as well. Who's fed up with this song now? I've just had a few seconds of listening to it and I'm thinking, okay, you guys must literally be fed up of Deck the Halls now, because it got to a point that I thought, well, it's probably too late now to mess around with a different song, but yeah, this will be the second to last time you hear it, I promise. I shall do my New Year spread, my New Year's Eve spread. Well, I won't obviously do it tomorrow. I'll probably do it on New Year's Day, and then following that I will do a flip through of the full completed journal, and I will do exactly as I did before with my last year's journal. I'll pull everything out so you can literally see everything. It'll be a complete flip through, which I'm really looking forward to. That's like my favourite part, my favourite thing to do. And I still go back to my one from last year and flip through it every now and then just because it makes me happy. Yes, I'm adding this little bit of, I think it's angel's hair. It's wool that I've got, and I had to run upstairs and cut a bigger piece off so I can add it here as like snowy, sparkly rooftop. And the glue just wasn't holding it. I didn't trust that it would actually grab it, so I ended up using some Fabri-Tac instead. And that's stuck down nicely. Please excuse the mess on the back of my hand. That's like my go-to, anything sticky gets stuck on the back of my hand area. It's washi tape and glue, and when I'm wiping excess glue or if I'm smearing it with my finger, note to self, 2020 used to be the year of the glue spreader. For me, I shall invest in a glue spreader, I think. I just, because I use my finger to spread it out sometimes, I will just wipe on the back of my hand. But how fun is it to peel it off later? Like, I love peeling glue off. I think that's just like a childhood thing, isn't it? It just takes me back to my youth where we used to cover our hands in PVA glue and sit peeling it off for the lesson. So yeah, please excuse that. It is yucky, but hey ho, it's crafting. You should see the mess that's around me if you think that's bad. So I'm adding a label here. This is my Boxing Day dinner. Oh my god, do I love Boxing Day dinner. And I literally wrote on this little label that it's the second best dinner of the year. Obviously the first best dinner of the year is Christmas dinner. Boxing Day dinner for me, this year in particular, I did the Yorkshire puddings this year. And I made little ones to take to my sister, so I did like a couple of trays full of them. And then I had enough batter left over to make myself one giant Yorkshire pudding. So I kept that for Boxing Day, and then all the leftover sort of vegetables, potatoes, some of the meats, the applesauce that I made, all that got fried up, and the Yorkshire pudding kind of became the plate, and the gravy I had as well, the beef gravy I had in with all the vegetables, I fried all that together and I put it inside the Yorkshire pudding that I'd made, and that was my Boxing Day dinner. Oh god, it was so good. I love that. I love that dinner. I should do that. I don't do it any other time of the year apart from Boxing Day. It's reserved for that day. It's such a good dinner. It looks such a mess, but oh, it was so tasty. Anyway, I'm over it now, promise. I'm adding this yum, and I was a bit annoyed with myself. I should have done it either over the photo or should have at least done it a bit further in because it's really close to the edge. It's kind of in a bit of a random spot, but hey ho. And I'm adding this bit of washi tape, mainly because that page I think just needed a bit of green. It needed a bit of something else. It's very red. So I'm just adding that in there. And I'm adding something at the bottom here, which you can't see in a minute. Hopefully I'll push it up in a second. But originally I was going to use that little Shine Bright. I didn't go with that in the end. I can't remember what I used. It's not in front of me now. Hopefully you'll see it. Oh, here we go. I spent all evening doing this. Doing loads of, oh, here we go, look. I actually added this little bit of red in, that's right. I pulled this out of my little snippets box when I was looking for something to add on the left hand side where that holly sort of border is. And I'll just add this at the bottom there. It's like a vintage music book cover. And there you go, you can see it. And I love that border. I really, really love that border. This letter is quite interesting. I found this in the antique shop in nearby to where I am, and it's actually a letter from 1924. And I googled the stamp as well. It's definitely from 1924, and it's a thank you letter. It was written on Boxing Day in 1924, thanking somebody for their gifts for the children. And it says on there that the children got like 2p each, and they're thanking them for their kindness. And I thought, wow. And the surname is Thompson on the letter, which my children's surname, they take their dad's surname, which is Thompson. So I thought that was rather fitting. So I've just slotted it in there. I won't do anything to it. I'm just going to keep it in there as a bit of ephemera. But I was really chuffed with that find. I found that when I got the stamps. If you saw my haul video, you will have seen the letter then. So it's just tucked away in there. And I just like that little bit of history. This is me organising my photos from the weekend. We went away. We went to Escape and we did some crazy golf. So this is a photo of my son. It's like 4D crazy golf. This is a photo of him inside, and on the right hand side were his scores. So it's like his little scorecard. So I'm just going to tuck that in here with a clip. I've actually not done these couple of days in order, because the photos you see at the top of the screen there are the lights that we went to see that evening, and I've actually added more about the lights on the next day, because yesterday is the day we drove home, so we didn't really do much. So that's the 29th, so we didn't really do much. So I thought I'd make this page about doing the crazy golf and taking the kids out somewhere, and the next page I would put in about the lights to kind of, because I wanted to showcase them, because look at them, they're amazing. We found out about this year. My cousin, my family lives up north, so my cousin tagged me in this on Facebook when we were deciding to go up to Yorkshire for the weekend, and she said we could go here and see these lights, and we were like, yeah, let's do that, and we did, and it's definitely well worth a visit. So next year, if you're near, or if you're in the area and you've not heard of it, or you're willing to travel, Stonebrig Lane up in Yorkshire is a really good place to go to see the Christmas lights, and they do it for charity as well, so you can donate via their Facebook page as well. So I took one of the price lists from the 4D Golf. Well, I took one that is from Escape, but I've just torn out the page that's relevant to the 4D Golf. I've said before that I like to have things in, especially things that show the price and show what options were available, because I think that'll be interesting to look at in years to come. The cost of things and what was available at this time would be would be quite interesting to look at. So here I am just thinking that page needs something. I don't think I actually add anything to it. I think I just add some writing, and that kind of becomes it. Sometimes I feel that I get carried away with my pages and my spreads, and I kind of stress myself out too much thinking it needs something or I need something more there, and actually it's perfectly fine as is. So I'd be interested to know if any of you have any Christmas traditions, if there are anything particular that you do at Christmas, you have to make sure you do, or anything you like to particularly eat, or a way you like to do dinner or celebrate, or if you're from a different culture, how you do it, where you come from. That'd be really exciting to know, actually. I have a friend who's Polish, and they celebrate on Christmas Eve, so their Christmas Eve technically is what we would class as our Christmas Day. Their big dinner and what have you is all done on Christmas Eve. And I find different cultures and different celebrations actually very interesting. It's anything that's different really is interesting. It's just information, and I just genuinely find it quite fascinating, how different people do different things. It might not even be a cultural thing, it might just be the way you were brought up, and the way that you were brought up to celebrate, So we tend to do our Christmas whereby Christmas Eve will be a day where we just kind of get together. It's a pretty relaxed day. It's a day where we help each other out. So one of us, either my mum, my sister or I, will do Christmas dinner, and then the others will come and help prepare for Christmas dinner. We delegate what we can as well. My sister did dinner this year, so I did the beef in the slow cooker on Christmas Eve. I made the Yorkshire puddings just to warm up on Christmas Day. I made the apple sauce. My sister's useless at making apple sauce. She does like one apple, and it's never enough because we all like apple sauce, and there's normally about 8 or 9 of us at Christmas Day. So yeah, we delegate and we help each other out. So Christmas Eve, we've done different things before. We've done carol singing. There is somewhere nearby that we can go and do carol singing. That's obviously weather dependent. It depends on the kids as well, how overexcited they are, how tired they are, how silly they're getting, if they just need to go to bed. So Christmas Eve is just kind of like a bitty day. I do like an afternoon, Christmas Eve afternoon tea for my family, and it's like scones and cream and jam and proper afternoon tea, but it's Christmas style because I make the scones into Christmas tree shapes, and this year I made eggnog for us to have as well, and just made it a bit more festive because I wasn't doing dinner this year. I could focus a bit more on Christmas Eve. We played some games, and it was just a nice relaxed day. And then Christmas Eve night, the children will leave their sacks out on the sofa. They have a sack each with their name on. They leave them at each end of the sofa for Santa to fill up. We leave cookies and milk out for Santa and a carrot for the reindeer. And then the kids will take their stockings up and hang them on their door for Santa to fill for them. I made their stockings, I crocheted them this year as well. So Christmas Day morning will be spent, the children will come into my room, and it's a bit different this year. So the children this year, they came into my room, opened their stockings up, which is what they would normally do, because that kind of gives me that 20 minutes to wake up on Christmas Day. So while they're happy because they've got some presents each and they're opening stuff and they're getting all excited, and it just gives me a minute to just realise what's going on. So we did that this year. Their dad arrived early. He arrived at 7 a.m. because I told him the earlier the better. And we went downstairs, we came downstairs and went into the front room. I put wrapping paper, Santa put wrapping paper across the living room door for the kids to break through, and they went into the front room, and store their presents, and then it is just a free-for-all. They just run in and start opening everything. I'm pretty confident I spelt brig wrong as well. I think it's only 1G, but don't judge. And then I was writing about this later. I did some journaling about Stonebrig Lane, and I intentionally then had to do it with 2Gs because I've done it with 2Gs here. Anyway, so yeah, so then we go into the front room on Christmas Day. So then we just kind of hang out for a bit, you know, put batteries and everything, put stuff together, that sort of thing. And then, because we didn't do Christmas dinner this year, my parents came over to see what the children had gotten from Santa, and then we have about an hour with them here, and then we go to my sister's. This is my sister's table for Christmas dinner that she'd set up. Yeah, so then we go to my sister's, and she was obviously busy preparing dinner, so we all then arrive and start helping out and doing our little bit. We always save a present for Christmas dinner, so when we get there, you know, there might be 1 or 2 things per person, in some cases, so if you've got more than one thing you can open one, but we always save something for the Christmas dinner table. I only saved a couple of these tags. That one was for my sister, and the ho 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 one is the one that my son wrote for the dog's present, because him and that dog, it's ridiculous. Yeah, so we help out with dinner. After dinner, we also all help clear away. And then we played some games. The kids actually went out on the trampoline. God knows how they could go and do backflips and whatnot on the trampoline after all that food. I could barely move. Never mind about jumping about on a trampoline. Good Lord. Yeah, so then we sat and played some games, and then my sister's partner's family all come, so we go, my mum and dad go home, I go to the kids' nannies, their dad's mum, so they can get their presents from her, and then we just come home, and it's like, and that's done again for another year. So yeah, that is our Christmas. To summarise, that tends to be the same thing every year. That's what we've always done, that's what we continue to do. Yeah, and that is our Christmas. So I'd be interested to know what it is that you guys do. Any specific traditions that you do, maybe you leave something specific out for Santa each year. Maybe when you write to Santa, you don't, you know, post in the post box, you leave it out on Christmas Eve. Or, I mean, do you do Elf on the Shelf, and you've done some really funny, you know, scenarios maybe? You know, I'd be happy to read some of those and just get a bit of an insight. Oh god, I was wrapping this bit of paper. Anyway, this is tissue paper that my daughter had a present wrapped in. She didn't actually get it on Christmas Day, she got it when we went up to see family, but I've used it here regardless because it's festive and it's fun and I love it. This tag I'm going to staple in at the top. I'm going to staple the string so it still flaps about, so I can still turn it over and read what it says. I struggle with this spot, the bit above the screenshot, the sort of phone. I really struggled with what to put there. I do add something eventually, but I think I've gone in a few times in this video with something, or I've looked at that page several times just thinking, what can I do? But yeah, I thought I'd add this little tree in because I cut it out originally to use somewhere, decided against it and thought, well, I can't waste it. So I'm just going to snip it off, trim it down a little bit, and then add it at the bottom of this page. This is also a page that I thought something needs to go there. But sometimes when you think that, you don't have to kind of force yourself to find something. Maybe you just have to wait and it will come to you. I've said before, it's a process. I will go throughout my journal. So when I do my final flip through, there will be things that if you've watched all my videos, or even if you've only watched some, you may notice that there are bits in that weren't in originally. So when I initially did the video for that page, when you see the flip through, there might be things that weren't there before, because I might have something I think, I just want to add it in somewhere, so I'll go back and just find somewhere for it to go. So yeah, that's how that generally evolved. This page is going to be kept quite simple. I found this doily printout that I'd done on some sticker paper. I'm just going to add that on there. And I actually intended to add the photo of the kids at the bottom, but because I wrote on the full page, it would then have covered some writing, so I'm going to go back to my little stack of photos and choose a different photo to go at the bottom there. So, you know, when we make mistakes, it's alright, they can be fixed. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't actually matter. I'll just swap the photo out for a different one. So I've just realised it's 4 minutes past midnight. I did promise that I would have this video up by 30th, and it's now 5 minutes past midnight, so apologies, this video is going to be late. I've tried to get it all done in an evening, and I did all the junk journaling. That was all done by about 11 o'clock, but then it's uploading all the videos, editing them, piecing them all together, making sure it makes sense in the right order, and then doing the voiceover. So I shall leave this to upload overnight, and then I will set it live in the morning. So yeah, I've just rejigged the photos around. I've added this one here instead, so I'm going to add an exclamation mark to finish that passage off, and then I'll add the photos in differently, because sometimes it just comes together like that. I'm going to add this little Christmas tree washi just to, again, to ground it, to give it a little bit of green, a little bit of something else. Just there's a random little snippet. These random little snippets, I think, make the journal. They really kind of bring it together, because they're done on purpose, but they look like they've just, you know, I've done it before in a previous video where I've had a random little bit of tape that I've cut off something. I thought, well, I can't waste it, so I've just kind of had a little quick flip through and just found somewhere for it to go, and that's kind of what these look like. Yeah, I just like the way it looks, and I'm going to scribble some glue around here apparently. Oh, I'll stick that down. I bought this from the market. There's a big market at where my family live up north. They had a haberdashery store, so I got very excited and I bought some bits. I actually bought some bits which I'm very excited about for my next journal, the one that I'm going to make. I don't know if it will be the next one that I make. I'm probably going to do something else because I don't have nearly enough bits to do the theme that I really want to do. So once I've done that, I don't know whether I'll share it, I don't know whether I should. Let me know if you want me to share it or if you want it to be a surprise. My next journal will probably be something, I don't know, along the lines of maybe like a botanically, I don't know actually, I don't know. I've got quite a few bits upstairs, so I shall go through all of that and piece some things together and see what I can come up with. But there is one particular journal I'm very excited to do, but I need more stuff to do it. But I have started, so watch this space. This card, this robin card, my cousin's son made at his nursery, so I thought that would make a nice little journaling card for these photos to go on the back of. I'm just going to slot it in that pocket there. I might go in at the end. See, this is what I'll do. I don't know. Tomorrow's spread is pretty straightforward. I've left space for writing and I've left a page for photos. I might go back in, add some tabs and things here and there. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But that would be the sort of thing that I'd probably add a little pull tab or something onto, just to kind of showcase that there's something in there that can be, or it's interactive, that can be pulled out. So I'm sticking this photo of the kids down here. This green ruffle, my son was making his junk journal with me, and he went upstairs, bless him, and got his little box of like cards. Got like a little 3-tier drawer thing, and it's got like his colouring pens and some glues and some glitter glues, you know, whatever else in there. And he actually had these streamers for his birthday, and he wanted to keep them when I took them down. So this green piece is actually a piece of the streamer that he got for his birthday. So when he was getting stuff out of his box that he wanted to share with us, with me, and my daughter was also doing a journal with us, he wanted to obviously feel a bit special that he'd contributed perhaps. So I used the streamer and created this ruffle, and I stuck it on here, and I think it looks really cool, and it makes me happy because he gave it to me, you know, and it's from his birthday, so it's extra special. This green holly, you can see my hand here with the gold sort of edging. The gold edging I've actually done by embossing. I really want to use it somewhere. I've tucked it in the pocket for tomorrow because tomorrow is a bit holly themed, holly and bells, like ring the bells for the new year. So I've tucked it into tomorrow's, and I'm hoping to use it somewhere because I've not had anywhere to put it so far, and I really like how it looks and how it's turned out, so I want to get it in there. So on that left hand side I've got that sort of strip of just blank space, which is just really messing with me. I can't leave it. So I'm just going to cut out some of these stars and add them just along the side there. I'm going to do some stamping there too eventually. My sister found a little stamp set in her son's, my nephew's stash that she brought round, and I shall use, just because she's got them, I should just use those there. So I just stuck these stars on randomly, and here's the little stamp set. It's got a red ink in it, but because I chose a wreath to stamp, I fished out my green ink instead. So I made this little pocket previously. It is an envelope that I just cut in half, and I've sewn around the edge, and I've glued the very tip of the flap, so it creates this sort of double pocket. So it's a side pocket, and I've tucked in a bunch of photos that I printed off for Christmas Day. And then this image, I wanted to showcase that, so I've added that in the little front tuck, so you can see it just, you know, when you're overviewing the page. And it is Santa in our front room with the dog, and it's an app that I downloaded, and my son genuinely thinks that that is Santa in our house. Bless his little heart. He was showing it to everybody, and Santa's kind of holding his hand out, so I positioned the dog. It took me ages. I positioned the dog so it looks like the dog's looking at Santa and Santa's holding his hand out to the dog. Oh gosh, Finn was just he was just absolutely over the moon. He and that dog, that relationship they've got is just, it's bizarre. They love each other. The dog goes easy on Finn. Like they just, it's just wow. Anyway, he was so happy. So I was just like, oh, Santa must have disturbed Mel when he came in. Obviously Mel's coming to investigate, and you know, this is him in our front room, and yeah, I mean, it really looks like Santa's generally in our front room. So that's our tree in the background, and you know, there's a little shadow on the floor and everything. It's really good, really, really good. So I told him about it. I knew I had the app. I told him about it on Christmas Eve, and I said I'll set my phone up tonight, and I showed him how I was going to kind of wedge it down the back of the sofa so it's facing the tree. And then in the morning he was like, I wonder if we caught Santa on camera. And so we did. So I'm just writing on this label that Mel caught Santa in the act. And then my sister was actually cutting out these little presents, one of her spreads, and I thought, that'll be ideal for my spread, because Santa's delivering presents, so that's rather fitting. And I'm obviously cutting that out. And then I'm debating whether to just leave it as it is. And then my sister showed me hers where she'd cut around the ribbons, and I was like, oh, that looks better. So here I am cutting around the ribbons. So I'm just going to pop that on there, and then I'm going to add a little bit of holly to the top sort of blank section because it definitely needs some green, and you can't fail with a bit of green metallic at Christmas, right? So there's me tapping away thinking, it needs to be there. My sister is sitting opposite me at this point as well. When I first started this, so at the beginning of this video, my sister wasn't here. I knew she was coming, but I thought, well, I'm going to have to start because I had a lot more to do than she does. Because obviously I promised that I would catch up, so I started before she got there. So at this point she's now in front of me and we're chatting away and journaling at the same time. Oh, I'm adding this Santa washi in as well because I just felt it needed a bit more green, and obviously it's just fitting because it's Santa and Santa's there and it's Christmas Day and Santa's everywhere. And I'm going to stick that on with some fabric tack just to make it nice and strong, nice and sturdy. This little tag here is one that my daughter made at school with some watercolours, and she stuck it on my present as well. She took on my present for me. So originally I was going to add these two together like this. I don't do that in the end because I didn't want to look back and think that that's how it was, because they are two separate tags. And I eventually just add it in the back here, tucked into that clip. And obviously it says to Mum from Phoebe on the back, so I can still read it. So I've just trimmed the string down the top there as well because I didn't want it sticking out too much. I'm going to staple this in here. I originally was going to put an eyelet in it and like make it into a proper little tag again, but I didn't. I just stapled it in. So this is me again looking at that space, thinking, oh, what can I put there? And then I had the idea to add these little presents in that I'd cut out already. I'm going to add 3 at the top there, just to put something in that space. So I wasn't going to bore you with all the cutting out. But here are the presents, and it goes slightly off screen. I do add a sort of, it's like a 3D word sticker. It says presents, which I do add above it, so you won't see me actually stick it on, but I do pull the journal down so you can see it at the top there eventually. There you go, you can see that word now. I've had that for years, absolutely years, and it's finally in a journal. So this brings me to yesterday, and as I said, we didn't do the lights, we didn't go and see the lights yesterday. But this is me trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the images that I printed. I did these ones quite big because I knew that I wanted to make something of them. And then I'm thinking here about sticking this little snowman in. This is like a little favour box that my sister put on the table for the kids. They all have one each, and this was my son's one. I managed to keep hold of that on Christmas Day. So I'm just toying around with how I'm going to work this image into my page. And I add it on the left here, I add that there, and then that goes there. And here I am committing to it. So I'm going to stick that photo at the bottom. I'm going to add the little snowman just above it on the right hand side there, and then the photo of the kids in front of the lights will go on the left hand page as you saw it laid out just a second ago, and I'll eventually do my writing just straight onto the right hand page for that day. I just write about how lovely the lights all looked. So I'm going to fish out some paper. I originally looked in my snippets box, couldn't find anything, and then I pulled out this red sheet of cardstock that I had, which I really liked against the image, and I'm going to use it as a frame. So I stick the image onto the card, and then I cut around it and create somewhat of a border for the photo. And of course the images can't just be plain, they've got to have something on them. So my sister was showing me the few bits that she got for Christmas, and this rick-rack was amongst those bits. So I've used some of that here. I love a bit of rick-rack. I'm just going to add that to the top of this image, and then I found this ribbon in my stash just to add along the bottom of that image. Again, that page just needed some green to balance it out a little bit. I've added that there, and I add a few more little bits at the bottom of that page as well. I think I just add some washi in as well, just to give it something extra. I found this little piece of lace in my stash as well, so I'm going to add that in a few different places, just to use it up and just to add it in. I like different textures and different variations of different sort of styles, are they? I guess, I don't know. Some vintage, some like just random bits and pieces. They don't even have to necessarily be Christmassy, they'll still work in a Christmas journal. So as I said, I'm just doing my actual journaling for this day straight onto that page. This Santa I found in the newspaper a few days ago when I had the Coca-Cola one. If you saw that spread, I can't remember which day that was, but this was, I had a flick through the actual newspaper and I found this Santa image as well, so I'm just adding this guy in here and I'm adding that other little snippet there of that. This piece here, this little bit of footage I kept in, this is my sister's journal, and this page of hers was actually coming away, it was tearing. She'd done a lot on the previous page and I think it was just too much for the page to take, so I'm actually fixing it here. I've just put some fabric tack down each side, so on each bit of paper, and I've added some ribbon in there just to hold these two pages together really well, and that should secure it now, and it'll be good to use, good to continue using. So I put that in there specifically because it, you know, these, I mean, it is paper. I expect things will come apart, things will break off, things will loosen over time, but it's to show that all these things can be fixed. It's not the end of the world, it's not ruined, it's absolutely fine, you can fix it. So here's a final little flip through of the days that I've done today. As I say, the actual final flip through is coming up soon, so I will go through absolutely everything then and show you guys my entire journal. So for now, Happy New Year! I hope you've all got some exciting plans and you all have a great time, and I will speak to you in 2020. Bye for now!